This podcast has mature language, not intended for underage viewers.
Street cred sports. Street cred sports. I'm crossing over. I'm Euro stepping. Where's my opponent? I think I left him. I'm in the lane. I see the rim. I'm finger rolling. To help the finish stepping up, I'm dunking on him. You know how it goes when you jump shots water. Got coaches switching up, they scheme, somebody gotta guard them. I'm putting pressure on the Adidas in the double team. Then no looking to the corner, throwing up the threes. Because I know it's money, we prepared for it. King of the court, like I was bred for it. Street cred sports, got me feeling godly. Tightening up my hands, working on my body. Got my mind right, time to put it to the test. I'm going hard in the paint and doing nothing less. The game plans, give it to me, and I'll do the rest. Coach better tell the other team, go get it from the net. Go get it from the net. Street cred sports, say it with your chest. Go get it from the net. Street cred sports, okay, that's a bet.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Time to Ball. I know you guys are feeling the song. I've been feeling it. I made it my ringtone. So I wanted to let y'all hear the whole song because sometimes people say they didn't know that I have a theme song. If you never seen this movie called I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. And it's a really funny movie with Keenen Wayans. And he says, all heroes need a theme song. Now, I'm not calling myself a hero, but, you know, having the business that I have, I felt it was important to have a theme song. So I just let you guys listen to the whole theme song, man. It was incredible. And you will be hearing more of that song as we start doing more things in 2024. So I hope you guys are doing well. And when I say guys, it's all inclusive. I don't mean just males. I mean, you know, guys and girls. I just say guys. I don't know why. It's weird. It seems like when you say guys, you could be talking to a room full of females, and it seems to be okay. Maybe it's not, but that's just kind of the way, you know, I've always talked. So don't get mad at me, and don't think I'm excluding the lovely ladies out there, both older and younger. We are in February, and you know I had to have a lot of love for y'all because it's Valentine's Day, and I'm on the podcast. I'm in the booth, so you'll get this, you know, when you get it. But just know I shot this during Valentine's Day, so I got permission to shoot this. I went ahead and shot this earlier, so I can make sure I'm on my other Valentine duties. You know, as you get older, you just kind of You don't do all of the same things that you used to do. You try, but you don't do all of it. When you were young, you sent the little in class you had the little heart-shaped candies, and you wrote the little notes, hey, will you be my Valentine? And then you hope and pray that they said yes. You know, you give them some chocolate or you give them the candies. When you're in a relationship, you're running to get the flowers, you get the roses, box of candies, you know, chocolate covered strawberries, and, you know, you take them to the fancy restaurant and all of those things. So, you know, you do them. And, you know, as you get older, some people have a routine that they have done over and over and over again. I've been married for a minute, but we still try to celebrate it in various ways. Sometimes we'll do something a little more extravagant. Sometimes we do something simple, but for us, the main thing is just that we're together for another year. So, shout out to Valentine's Day, and hopefully, y'all were able to have your Valentine and make it a special day. Well, let's get on to it. Let me talk about some things that interest me. Obviously, we're on episode 56. If I didn't say that, I sometimes forget because it's so many. I might just start saying, yeah, we're on the next episode instead of putting the number because we started to do so many. So we're on episode 56. But let me get into everything. Let's talk about that Taylor Swift effect. It's real, I think, to a certain degree. I know there were so many people complaining. I mean, it didn't really bug me. There were times where I think, not in the Super Bowl, although we knew it was coming, but there were times throughout the year where I thought whoever, whether it was Fox, NBC, CBS, when the game was on ESPN, when the Chiefs played, if Taylor Swift was at the game, they were showing shots of her, for no reason, right? That's when they're trying to utilize, her draw with her fans, because she has, millions of fans. She's one of the greatest artists out there. She's, one of the richest with what she does. She does her thing. So, you got to congratulate it. The Super Bowl, it wasn't as big a deal. You kind of get used to it, and you're watching it, and you're like, okay, how many times are they going to show her? And I felt there were times where they showed her that they probably shouldn't have showed her. But hey, look, it's not my company, right? So I can't tell. But then I have to ask myself, if I'm running a camp and she's at the camp, or I'm doing the training and she's watching the training, yeah, I'm probably going to show her. I'm probably going to show her reaction to me showing, her relative or child. She doesn't have any kids, but somebody that she's there with. I want to see her. I want the people to see her reaction to something that I did. So the thing that I kind of trip on, because I believe it was the most watched Super Bowl in Super Bowl history, and there are many factors. You got to factor in the teams. You got to factor who's playing in the teams, their fan bases. You got to factor in, the halftime show. And you factor in that, that she's there. And I think it's important to understand, well, why is it they kept showing it so much? Well, she's going to pull people who probably wouldn't really care about football because they know she's into it. I remember a long time ago when, Michael Jordan was, going through his thing and he ended up having a divorce. I remember a lot of ball players kind of contemplating if they should stay with their wife because Mike left his wife. True story. I remember some like, man, I don't know. MJ left his, so, I don't know. It sounds crazy to say, but there were conversations. I don't know if they were just talking or if they really meant it. I remember in the movie The Last Dragon, when he's watching a movie and he's watching Bruce Lee, he's modeled himself so much after Bruce Lee that there's a scene where Vanity is really, trying to kiss him. She's liking him. She's feeling him. And he's kind of standoffish. Well, he sees, Bruce kissed the girl on the movie, so he's like, oh, okay, if he kissed her, then it's okay, right? So you gotta kind of understand sometimes that you have to know what's going on. You have to know that if you have this person who has a large following, you're going to get more people. Maybe people who are advertising, who are going to spend those millions of dollars, are probably saying, hey, if they're winning and Taylor's there, y'all going to show shots to Taylor, right? because that's going to pull a few more million people to watch. There are some people that just wanted to see how many times they showed her because they're just in love with her, right? And I get all of that. So I tend to think people who are complaining probably never really, I would think they never owned a business. Because if you own a business, you find a way that if you could get more eyes on your product or service, you would do it. You would do it. Now, within reason. I'm not saying you would do some obnoxious stuff, but if you had a celebrity that's going to be in your place, you probably try to promote it because there are going to be certain people that resonate with that celebrity or whatever, that person in that high status is. And that's going to help sell your product. So I get the whole, oh my God, they got to show her again. But that ain't your dime. They trying to make money. They in the business of making money. So, I didn't really have a problem with now, like I said, sometimes like you showing her after incomplete pass to somebody else that ain't Kelsey, like, well, that's not Kelsey. Why you showing her? So, but I guess maybe they were just trying to get other reactions for other things. So, who knows? We weren't in that room when they were discussing it. But shout out to the Kansas City Chiefs for winning. I was pulling for San Francisco because I really do like Brock Purdy, and there are things about his game that remind me of Joe Montana. I'm not saying he is Joe Montana. I'm not saying he's going to be Joe Montana, but there is a calmness that he's displayed for most of his quarterbacking time with San Francisco that reminds me of when Joe Montana started quarterbacking. There are a lot of people who say it. So it's not just, I didn't say it because they said it. It was just something that I noticed. But I think, he's going to get better. And, you can't really go. But Mahomes has gotten to that point to where it's almost like you don't want him to be there because he has that psychological edge. He has the same edge that Jordan had. He has the same edge that Brady had, to where he was like, man, dog, he playing with like 4 third graders. He's got pre-K. He's got kids that are in pre-K running and blocking on the offensive line and running back. He's not playing with professional athletes. He's the only professional athlete on the team. Everybody else on this team are really, they're in pre-K, actual pre-K. They're, 7 or 8 years of age, 6 years. But I'm scared he's going to still win. That's where it's gotten. So that's a powerful, powerful part to be in, where you don't know if you'll ever be able to beat him, because he beat all of the top teams. He beat the Dolphins. He beat the Bills. He beat the Ravens and the 49ers. Now, he didn't throw the way he normally does, but you have to make sure that you beat him, and they didn't beat him. So we could spend a whole podcast trying to dissect all of that, but that's not what time the ball is. So congratulations. I wasn't pulling for them or against them. If they won, so I wasn't like mad that they won. I might kind of be pulling for them to have the first three-peat in football history. I kind of like to be a part of that, to say, back in my day, I got to see the first football team win back to back to back, right? So I think it'd be cool. But if somebody else won, I'd be okay with it. I'm just a fan of the sport. All right, so let me go into this real quick. There was a basketball game recently, Houston Rockets and New York Knicks. Now, at the end of the game, game's tied. Ball goes out to DJ House. I don't think last name is House. He's shooting a three, and Jalen Brunson runs out to contest. Referees call a foul. When they call a foul, it's 0.3 seconds left on the clock. Score's tied, right? They review it to see how much time is left. To me, it's clearly not a foul, but okay, right? They shoot free throws. They award, after they looked at it, they put the time, they award him free throws. And he makes 2 free throws, and, that's the game. They win the game. Now, I'm not going to get into the fact that Jalen Brunson, you don't even put yourself in that position with a jump contest. I guess it's kind of your nature. You're naturally trying to contest hard. To me, you don't even contest like that. You don't give the referee an opportunity to call that foul. If he hits it, he hits it, right? Hey, that's a great shot. Let it go. Don't compound it by letting him shoot 2 to 3 free throws with 0.3 seconds left, where all he has to do is make 1. And the game's really over, because it's been said that you need at least 0.3 to 0.4 seconds to get a tip in. But in that situation, they're going to be taking it out at the at the baseline, I think, because I don't think they had timeout. So that's a lot of stuff to think that at that time. And there are some players who know all of those things, and some players are playing. I'm not saying Jalen Brunson didn't know. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about it after the fact. But in any case, they lose the game. Now, discussion could be had as to why before I say that, after the game, Ed Malloy, head official of that crew, comes out almost immediately after the game and says, after seeing the post-game video of that play, there was no foul. So he's basically validating what, 99% of the population said, that wasn't a foul. I don't know about the 1%, but I'll just say 99. My first question is, how is it that you didn't see that when you reviewed it? Was there some angle that they didn't show? Now, there's been talk that they couldn't review or change whether it was a foul. If that was the case, that's terrible, because you have the technology within that time. Referees should be able to look at it and say, hey, you know what? That wasn't a foul. There was no foul. So, quarter or the game, regular time is ended. We're going to go into overtime because it was tied. Okay. You come out, and I commend them, because you came out and owned it. It wasn't you that called it. It was another referee. That there's another discussion with that referee, but we're not going to go into that, because it's Valentine's Day. I can't be here all day with y'all. Got to make sure I get my reservations right. But in any case, here's where I'm going with all of this. Now, I'm giving you all this stuff. You're emotional. You're upset, angry, whatever, because you have no control over it. Reporters ask questions. How do you feel about that last call? What do you think about that foul and stuff? And they want you to be truthful. But here's the reality. Professional athletes can't say something even though it's correct. Because if he says, man, that was a terrible call, and the referee knew it, he's going to get fined. And fines are anywhere between $25,000, $50,000, depending on how bad it is. Right? So they don't want you disparaging the refs, which I think is bad. Should be another conversation, because, man, there's so many other conversations I keep saying. I guess I got to make sure I put these things down so we can have them. But in any case, these are other conversations, because referees seem to not have to endure the things that players have to endure when something's done wrong, right? They mess up. I don't think they're held towards the end of the year. They don't get a chance to referee, playoff games. But that's just like, well, you know what? That's like teams at the end of the regular season. They don't make the playoffs. That's fine. They're still getting paid. Now, I don't know if they're still getting paid throughout the playoffs, but I'm not saying they should be dock paid, but you got to do something. But okay, in any case, that money gets taken away from them. That money would get taken away from that player. I think if the reporter asked the question, here's what I would have said if I'm Jalen Brunson or Tom Thibodeau when they asked him. I'd say, you want me to answer that question? And the reporter is probably going to say, well, yeah, can you answer it? I would say, if you're going to cover the fine, if you'll cover that $25,000 to $50,000 out of your pocket, and you're going to pay for it, I'll gladly answer it. But if you're not going to cover that fine, I can't answer that question. I'm not going to answer the question. I think it's a responsibility of the reporters. I get what they're trying to get, but you're asking questions, and they say, oh, well, it's our right to ask. Yeah, it's your right to ask. all he had to do is say no comment. Yeah, of course he's going to say no comment because he doesn't want to get fined. So you're not really asking the question that you absolutely want the truth of. You're going to ask him something and you're going to try to get something for clickbait, but you know he's not going to answer it. There are some guys that say, man, I put $100,000 aside for this season for fines. But even having said that, even if you're a multimillionaire and you're paying a fine of $25,000 because you don't think it's going to hurt you, that's 25 G's. That's money that there are a large population of the population of people that some people don't make that in a year. So I really think that reporters should not be asking certain questions that they know, number one, they're not at liberty to ask, because if they answer the question, they're not at liberty to answer, because if they answer it, they're going to get in trouble. And you're not going to pay. And it's not like they just came. If he just came out and said, yo, you know what, bring all the mics over here. Y'all listening? And he went off. Yeah, of course you're going to get it. You didn't ask him. He just came out and volunteered it. But you asking certain things that you know if these men or women answer, they're going to have to pay for. And it's not going to be any sweat off of you. I think, yeah, that's what I'd have said. I'd have just told him, you got 25 G's? What you got? You got 5 on this? you gonna put some money in the pot? You got snaps on the petrol? If you gonna put in on this, I'll gladly give you the best soundbite ever. But if you don't got no money to help pay for this fine I'm gonna give by answering the question, don't ask me that, man. That's all I gotta say about that. All right, so next I'm gonna ask y'all because I truly don't know. Are KD and Dremont friends? I thought KD and Draymond, they were teammates at Golden State. They had their blow up. Kevin Durant eventually left. They, there was some words said, and Kevin Durant and Draymond eventually, they squashed it. They were talking about it and stuff, and you thought all was well. Well, recently, KD and Draymond played against each other on Saturday. It was with the Suns and Warriors. Warriors win at the Steph hits an unbelievable shot, but it's not unbelievable because it's Steph hits a shot. Suns still have an opportunity with 0.6 seconds left on the clock, which is really hard to catch and shoot. But Draymond disrupts the catch and secures the defensive effort that wins. And he turns around and he's yelling and screaming at Kevin Durant. Now, I'm all for trash talking. I'm all for getting on each other's ass when you talking shit, because that's what you do when you talking. What I'm not okay with is certain words, right? All right. I don't think I've ever been called a bitch by another man. As far as I can remember, I could be totally off. But if I was called a bitch, it was about to be a fight or worse. Okay? Growing up in the neighborhood at the court, yeah, we talk, and we say certain things, but there are certain things we didn't really call each other. And if we called each other that, we knew what was going to happen. How about that? Then I believe in that. Okay, he called Kevin Durant a bitch, I guess, when they were playing together. And I believe in this games with the Suns and Warriors, I thought everything's cool. At the end, he calls him a pussy. Right? Now, again, where I'm from, when you start to calling people, those words and you're putting it in those contexts the way you're talking, you don't mean anything good, and it's about to go down. It's about to be some furniture moving or worse. Okay? I don't see myself, I don't even know if KD heard him. I don't see myself, seeing somebody call me that and me being okay with walking. So Kevin KD is a bigger man than I could ever be if it came to that. Because, yeah, you're supposed to walk away. Yeah, you hear people say walk away. But, like, growing up where I grew up, you couldn't get away with that. Because if you allowed that, then everybody thought it would be cool to just treat you any kind of way and do you any kind of way. So you had to stand up for yourself, as a person. So I'm not sure I'm okay with being called it, because that's gonna be, to me, it's gonna be some furniture moving and some context. Okay, Dre's had his history of stuff. I've called him out on it. He says that's who he's gonna be, and that's fine. But you got to deal with how it is. And I've heard some people say, yeah, he tend to do that going after some people. He ain't doing that going against people that he know is gonna throw them hands at him, right? And there are some people that'll do that. Look, like, you can do those things, and maybe I wouldn't do anything right then, because I know if what I was going to do was going to cost me some games and some money and hurt my team. But best believe at the end of the season, when the season is over, we all know, if especially on the NBA level, you all know where you play. You all know where you go for those summer games. I'm going to show up. And I'm going to play it. I'm going to have that recording, and I'm going to say, so, this is how you felt. All right, let's go. Ain't no reporters, ain't it? And I'm telling everybody in here, don't nobody stop shit. This is going to be between me and him. Y'all, unfortunately, just happened to be here because I know he was going to be here. But now it's me and you, dog. We can do this in the gym in front of everybody. We can go in the room and lock the room. But we about to be two fighting motherfuckers right now. We about to be. Nah, you ain't going to call me no pussy or no bitch. Nah, hell no. Not like that. Well, I mean, not like anyway, to be exact. But you definitely not going to call it without me having an answer. And I'm not saying anything about KD, and I'm not saying KD ain't had these talks and he just found another way to do it. I'm just saying, yeah, nah, man. Nah, that's me, that's how I am, and I'm going to be like that. That's cool. But one day, you are going to be like that with somebody who gonna knock you the fuck out. Maybe right then and there. There are just some people that that ain't taking that. And there was an old song by Willie D of the Ghetto Boys. And Willie D said, you ain't crazy. You know who to talk shit to and who not to. Crazy is you don't care what they are, who they are. You going all crazy because you crazy. And we all know people that are like that man, that dude crazy, man. And he just acts crazy. He just does whatever he does, no matter if it's a priest or a police officer or something, whatever. But there are people who are selective in who they talk shit to because they know that some people are going to be okay with it and take it. So I'm a Dre fan. I'm just not feeling that. I'm not feeling that because if it's the other way around and somebody calling you out like that, you probably going to be trying to fight. So you shouldn't be doing it. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. I'm just putting it out there. But yeah, I got kids. I got a wife. How am I going to look my kids and, my kids going to be looking at me like, damn, Dad, you just let them call you out like that? Now I got to worry about my kids. Well, my kids are grown now, but I got to worry about if my kids are going to school and like, yo, such and such calls your daddy a bitch. So I guess that makes you a bitch. You know how kids can be. They're not thinking about it. That's kind of, that's just the way I'm looking at it. I could be totally wrong. Y'all might feel, now, okay, you off on that one. Send me a comment. I'm not saying that it would change my mind because that's, excuse me, that's how I feel on it. But I'm trying to listen to somebody else say that I'm wrong with how they talked about the situation. And thus far, every word that I've heard on the streets from people talking about it, same thing. Right? So All right. In any case, I hope they resolved it because, they were cool, and sometimes you can't be beefing to be beefing. Sometimes, you're emotional, man. You know what? You got to be together because there are others that are not, that don't care nothing about you. So that's just kind of how I feel about it. All right, last thing that's on my mind, I'm gonna bring this up for a specific reason. The Torneo football team in Torneo, Texas, the board approved that they suspend the football team of all activities, no season, until 2026. Now, they pointed to low numbers, of participants trying to play football, right? That's what they pointed to. They don't have enough people to play on the team. But what was interesting is they also they pointed out the record. They pointed out that they were 0-26 or something like that. And I don't know if that was from the past 2 or 3 years. Forgive me, I didn't write the actual number that they were on, but they pointed out, that their record. And I thought that was funny because when I say funny, I don't mean like it was laughable. What I mean by that was, if you're pointing out that the team's record, if you're pointing out that the team is, you're suspending it because of not having enough kids to play, that's one thing, right? But if you're now adding the record, why does the record matter? Right? You're going to have a bad record anyway because you don't have enough players. Maybe it's, they're not qualified. Okay, I'm pulling it up. See, this is technology. I can pull it up. It says they struggled in recent years. The Coyotes have not won a game since 2020. They're going from 21 to 23. They're 0-30. And they had to forfeit the last 4 games of 2022 season due to a lack of players. And in 2023, they lost every game by at least 43 points. So here's my question. Was it the fact that they were getting blasted, the reason that they suspended? Or was it the fact that they had low numbers? Because that's what they said. It says citing low numbers of participants. Those are two different things. Right? So like if all of a sudden there's this big push to get everybody involved, now you don't have low numbers. So is it the low numbers or is it the fact that you're getting blasted and the program is struggling and suffering? Now, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not blaming the coaches. I'm not blaming the kids. I'm not blaming the community, anything like that. Okay? It's a sad situation, and I hope that, as the city expands and you get more people moving out in the, further areas of the city, that I'm sure in another year or two, you're going to probably have a lot more, schools and stuff to feed that high school. I'm sure it will, because there was a time where Clint and San Elizario and Fabens didn't have, they weren't, I'm not saying they had low enrollment, but now those programs are vibrant programs because you have, a lot more kids because Horizon is grown, it's spreading out. So where are you going with all of this, Kay? Well, I want to say last year, I made a comment about a school getting to the district playoffs that didn't win a game. I made a comment about the coach getting coach of the year and that same team didn't win a game. That school is Jefferson, and it's in the city. I actually made the assumption, I even made on another podcast saying, maybe we should take away athletic programs from some of these schools that it's obvious you're not getting the necessary kids to compete at those schools. Those kids, bless their heart, they're trying. But my question is, with all of the stuff available today, with organizations like myself, with people who have leagues and stuff, how is it that these kids aren't being developed from an early age up to where now by the time they're in high school, they have some decent fundamental work? I'm not saying they got to all be superstars, but when you go watch some varsity games with some of these teams, it's really, look, I'm going to say this and people are going to take issue. I shouldn't have to pay to go into a game where I already know one team is going to lose 80-something to 15 or something. That's not, I'm going to support the kids, but realistically, should I be having to pay for that? Okay, so if we're going to get down to it. Why are these programs so bad? Why is the infrastructure not being helped? Why aren't they asking for help for their infrastructure? To ask, well, how can we help these kids? We have kids who want to play the sport, but they're not good at it and they don't have guidance. How don't you start with that? But until you do that, that's probably what's going to happen in Torneo. Until you do that, there's a list of schools in this city that should do the same thing, right? The kids don't have no say so. How you gonna punish those kids that played this year, even though they're getting bashed 43-0? They showed up for practice. Those coaches showed up for practice, and I'm gonna assume they tried because they weren't losing 55 or 60-0, right? So you assume that they were really they were trying to play. Otherwise, they would have just quit. For the past 3 years, they've been playing. Those kids were showing up to practice. They had dreams. Some of them probably wanted to try to play college. They were coming in. Maybe they didn't have the tools to build the ship. So that should be addressed. But I'm just saying it because Torneo did it. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. Hey, you shut down underperforming schools. You close those schools and move kids to other places. Maybe you should, I'm not saying build the top resources, support the top teams. That's not what I'm saying. If they're bad teams, they're bad teams. But, I mean, if you got teams that ain't won in a long time and they're just drastically underperforming, that's money. Tell you what. If you're a business, if you're in college sports or pro sports, how long do you keep a team going if that team is not good? You've seen colleges shut down programs. I've seen colleges shut down basketball and football programs that were successful. So how do you say as a person who's a business that, well, I'm going to keep putting money into this and it's not working? You got to stop it and you got to figure out how to fix it. And that's, I have to commend Torneo. That's what they're going to look at doing. They're going to hopefully look at fixing it. Maybe they see that in 2026, like, you know what? We're just not going to ever have a football program. And that's fine. That's got to be okay. We can't all get what we want sometimes. Now, maybe those parents who really want to play football, maybe they have to look at another school. I don't know how you fix that with those kids who really are passionate about it because it's being taken away. But it's kind of like that with everything sometimes. Sometimes, you don't have access to it. I had parents who they're so passionate about training and they wanted to train, but they didn't want to come over there and drive from the west side to the east side. Now, on one hand, I'm thinking, well, I guess you're not as passionate as you say, because you'll drive over here to play a game, but I try to help them play over there. Hey, here's a train over here on the west side. It's closer to you, right? I think they thought that I was just going to say, okay, hey, you know what? I'll go do the training over there. Well, why? I'm paying rent over here. I got my place over here. I got people driving from Van Horn, Alamogordo, Tularosa, Deming, Lordsburg. They're driving over here for training. So sometimes you got to make decisions, and I hope they figure it out. I really, truly hope. The reason I say all of this is just I want better. I don't want us to be mediocre, and sometimes that's what mediocre is. Torneo Independent School District said enough. We got to look at ourselves in the mirror, and we got to figure it out. I think we need to do that with a lot of these schools, not a lot, but some of these schools in here. If they can't be competitive, well, what's your plan to make your kids competitive? You got feeder schools, you got middle schools and elementary. What are we doing to get these kids a little bit more prepared to where they're competing? Nobody wants to see what we're seeing. All right. So now I'm going to get into my basketball ideology. The first thing I'm going to talk about is injury prevention. Now, stay with me. As a trainer, I work on lots of different things with younger kids, as far as moves, as far as dribbling, learning how to do certain things, kids that want to be a little bit more advanced, that want the tools to be able to try to accomplish goals, plan. We do things now that, when you look at it, and I look at it all the time as I'm doing it and working with them, it puts a tremendous stress on certain body parts. Certain moves put a lot of stress on your lower calves and Achilles, okay, hamstrings, quads, shoulders. When you're trying to shoot 1,000 shots a day, that shit adds up if you're young and you get older, okay. All of the stuff that you do. I tell kids that stretching and recovery is more important than ever. Why do I say that? You should take care of your body, right? Especially if you're an athlete. I watched, I think it's Dre Greenlaw was the linebacker for 49ers, was getting ready to run back onto the field for the defense when after a punt. I believe he tore his Achilles. That's what they feared. I don't know if they got confirmation of it, but I believe it was a lower leg injury that looked like an Achilles. This man's playing at the highest level. I'm sure he's doing everything he can. Now, the way he sprinted out, it put an exorbitant amount of stress on his Achilles. Okay. Well, hey, he's a top athlete. Sometimes things just happen. Absolutely it does. There are certain injuries that there's nothing you can do to prevent it. I tore ACL on my left, and then 10 years later, I tore it on my right. What I was told by a world-renowned doctor is there's really no exercise. There's some things you can do to strengthen the muscles around to make it harder, but there are certain types of stuff that we do as athletes that are they just put too much torque and stress on the body at that point that you're going to hurt. And I think Achilles is one. But I have been told that you can lessen your chances by doing certain exercises. So I'm saying all of that to say, we got to make sure we're taking care of our bodies. A lot of the kids that we get don't know how to stretch, and we have to show them how to stretch. We talk to them about the importance of stretching. We tell them you got to get a routine. Now, we can stress it, and we can tell them whether they do it or not. That's ultimately on them. I can't hold your hand throughout everything. I'll take you through it, but I can't hold your hand. So, I just wanted to point that out because seeing that injury and then knowing, different moves and stuff that we work on, I do tell my kids, hey, you know what, this puts a lot of stress on these body parts. So you got to make sure you, stretch these certain body parts, do some yoga and stuff, get flexible with certain body parts so you don't feel it, get it stronger and do your recovery. But it is possible to lessen the chance. I'm not saying prevent it, but you can help yourself by lots of recovery and stretching and proper techniques and stuff. Next, I want to talk about the importance of group training. Now, we've always done individual. We were doing groups here and there, team training, but I decided to make more of an effort to offer groups of four kids, small groups, so I can still kind of keep it, individualized when we're doing stuff. But by doing these group trainings, what I have noticed is I'm able to do more game situational stuff. I'm able to let the kids be put in live situations to where, I get a chance to see how they're reacting to things, what they're doing. Because often I ask them, and they go to game and stuff, and they tell me what they did. Parents tell me what they did. Sometimes I see film and I'm like, oh, that don't look like what you told me. That looks different. But in any case, it gives me a chance to see it, correct it, help them. I've had so much positive feedback. I mean, I don't see how, when I did it, I figured it would help kids, but the feedback from these parents have been like tremendous. Like, oh my God, this is helping him or her. This is helping him so much. He's doing this. Oh my God, she learns so much. Her IQ, she said her IQ level is just blown away with the stuff that you talk to about. And it's not just drills, it's concepts. I'm giving you a piece of my thought process when it comes to stuff. And, seeing the game and understanding. So kids are really knowing it. And then they're getting a chance to actually apply it in games. So I'm seeing improvement from them. So I'm glad I actually decided to do it and stick with it to where we're doing group trainings. I'm not saying we're going to just do group trainings forever. There are levels. But this group training concept is not going anywhere. And I think it's only going to catch on because the kids are benefiting from it, and then more coming in, more. I'll put it this way. Of the last 10 to 15 kids that are registered for training, when I put that in there as an option, individual, now small groups, and then the ball IQ training, they're checking them all. So I know it's something that parents want. And I know there are certain times where if we've trained a kid for a while, we can always still help them. But this is a different level and the kids want more. So I'm glad to be doing that. Let me go into this. I feel like overall training, and this is kind of a segue. Overall training, I feel, is light years better than 5 to 10 years ago. I really feel that. There are so many people training. There are a lot of people, not a lot. There are some people training that probably shouldn't be training. They're teaching, and they're teaching from what they put out. They're teaching certain concepts, and it all starts to look alike, right? I'm not hating on any of these people as long as you're doing it in good faith and for the right reasons and you know what the hell you're doing, I'm for it. But if you're out here just trying to take money, watch videos, where I've heard some people do that, they watch videos and then they try to do a training based on the video, that tells me that your library of information to help people is very low. Because you should be able to help them based on your experiences, based on things that you were actually either a part of or you viewed. Now, well, if you watch a video, then you viewed it. Yeah, but if you take that whole, like, there are times where through my feed, I consume a lot of, material. And sometimes I'd be like, hey, I like that. But I put it in the context of how I would do it. So mine is always a little bit original, taking something ideal, but like we're all doing that stuff. And I get if you do it once or twice, if you just want to see what's out there. But if your whole thing is based on watching somebody else's video, like you can't, come up with your own content more or less. It's only what I've heard from certain people. I don't know if they were saying it because. So I'm just putting that out there. Maybe I shouldn't. Okay, take away everything I just said. All right, just forget what I said. But let me get back to this. The original point was light years ahead, 5 to 10 years ago, the game IQ is not. Now, that's what I'm standing on. I said because you have some people that are only teaching one part of the game and not the game itself. There are some that you might see and they're how to do this, how to be an elite, this and that. But you don't see the little aspects of all the other stuff that kids don't work on. So when I'm watching game, I see, somebody said the same regurgitated moves. Yeah, they doing the same moves. Everybody's doing the same moves because they're all working on the same things, right? And I get that. But the who, when, why, and how aren't often discussed. You know how I know? Because I'll teach a kid a move. I'll teach them something that they can utilize in the game. And then I'll start to question and ask them about, well, when are you going to use this and how? And they don't have a clue. So I have to go through it and say, okay, this is when you're going to use this move. This is why. When you do this move, if it's against a man, this is where the help's going to come in. And this is what you need to do when that help comes in, right? Counter with this, create the space for the pass, whatever it needs. So I'll teach them a move, but I teach them what they're going to do, why, and I also teach them the how, right? If you don't do all of those things, you're going to have kids doing what I've seen on not just high school. I've seen it on college. Kids doing these moves, and it's like, why are you doing that move right there? Right? Like, I know why, but why? I guess, no, it wasn't explained to you certain things that you need to do, right? And why you need to do it. So the training is light years, but the ball IQ and stuff with the playing and stuff and putting them in situations to ask, because I've done it in the group training, and this is why I'm saying it. I've done it in group training, and I've had kids do moves, and then I say, well, why did you do that move? I know that's something that you were taught, but why? And kids, they don't always have the answer. Well, that's because of what I learned. So now you have to tell them, yeah, but look, this is what you had. So I'll give you a perfect example. During the course of the group training, I often do a one-on-one or two-on-two. I like to do the one-on-one because I'm wanting to see how these kids are reacting to the defense and what they're doing. So it's the top of the key. I give them 4 to 5 dribbles, defender, they get it. Sometimes kids will get the ball and they just start dribbling. Usually to the right, obviously. They just start dribbling, and then they're dribbling away from the basket. And then I have to tell them, say, well, how far was the defender away from you? Oh, they were off from me. So why didn't you shoot? And then they'll give me this look like, oh, yeah, why didn't I shoot? Like, you didn't start in a triple threat. You didn't give them a pump fake, a jab to figure out how he or she was playing you. You just got the ball and started dribbling. So then the next time they get the ball, they take a second or two more before they make their move. They shoot it, right? So then the next time they get it, they're there, and they go to shoot it, and the defender comes up. So they rush the shot, and they say, well, why didn't you pump fake? And then they give me a look, and it's like, yeah, you shot it. So now that you shot that shot, the next time you get the ball, if they're playing off of you, they're expecting you to possibly try to shoot it. So give them a pump fake. So throughout the course of this one training, this kid learned to use the triple threat more effectively, shoot when the defender was up on him, pump fake to get the defender up, and then drive by him. And if the defender was there, we added in a step back. So all of these concepts were covered in a group training. And it was, I'm going to show you why you need to do something and when. And I think that is starting to be lost. I believe it's starting to come back because I am starting to see more of that on social media where these guys are talking about it. But for a while, it was just, this is an elite move. This is a hezzy cross, double cross, hezzy spin move, step back. And it's a great move, but if you don't give them the context and why you're doing that move, that shit ain't going to work. You got to let them know why you're doing it and when. So I commend organizations, but I'm going to say we all have to do better. I think adding group training is going to add another layer to what we do, right? And, obviously a lot of it goes to the person training. You can't have somebody who doesn't know what they do doing group training because they don't learn anything. Okay, but that's my take on that. Okay. Here's my last thing today. I've thought long and hard about addressing this, but I think it is time for me to address this. For the over 15, 20, 25 years that I've been doing this, I've given free access to people when it comes to stuff. When people, like, obviously, if somebody's training with me and they're paying for the training, I give them access, information, and everything that they would have to pay for anywhere else. Guidance, mentorship, consulting, all of that stuff. All of that stuff I always throw in with somebody that I've trained. There was a time where people would come to me, and they still do, come to me, asking me for help and guidance and stuff. And I would give them stuff because I always said, you know what? It doesn't hurt to give free information. And I still stand by that. It doesn't hurt me to give somebody some information free. What I have realized is that I'm giving too much information. Okay. And it's not that I'm giving too much information. I'm giving up information for people who want access to what I have and can say and who I can put you in touch with. There are some people that want to stay close enough to be, generally cool with you because they know that if they ask you questions, you'll help them out, right? You'll help them out, give them information, right? But then when it comes to actually messing with you, they don't mess with you. They'll be around you, but they don't necessarily mess with you. Now, okay, I'll give you an example. And I'm not saying that these people don't mess with me. I'll give you an example. I'll go out and I'll see people who I had trained, that they stopped training for whatever reasons. No big deal. But I see them, hey, how you doing? And look, anybody who knows me, I've never seen somebody that I used to train and be like, oh, look at that bitch over there with their kids or something. I can't stand them. I don't do that. I probably shouldn't use that word because that's not what I would have said in that instance. But you get the point. Like, I'm not upset that they're like training with me. I'm not upset if they're training with somebody else. I get all of that, right? But then, when they say, hey, how's everything going? How they doing? Oh, hey, man, you know what? I was just saying we need to get them back over there with you. And then I'm kind of like, oh, okay, well, you know where I'm at. But in my head, I'm thinking, well, I never said anything like that. I'm just speaking. I'm being cordial. It felt like they were in a position where they felt like they had to say something like that to me. And I'm like, look, and I have to tell them, like, look, whatever you're doing, you're doing. Like, just because you see me, I don't want you to feel like you have to talk about coming back and training. I want the best for you and your child regardless. Right? But then I stopped to think, days, weeks after that conversation, I never got a text. Or they never reached out to say, hey, you know what? I remember I talked to you about doing it. I need to get them back in there with you. I don't hear anything about that. And it's not like, oh, they were fake or phony. It was just, yeah, I know they were just saying it at the time just because, so it's no big deal. But then there's a segment of people that know I've trained. They train with other people. I'm okay with that. I mean, no big deal. But every time I see them, it's got to get them in with you. But they're training with other people. But every now and then I'll get a phone call or a message and they're asking me for information on stuff. And I put information out. Sometimes, I'll make a call or two based on stuff. They're having a hard time with this. I'm trying to help them. They might be looking for exposure. They might be wondering what team they should play with or what, what they should do with their coach and stuff as far as the team that they're playing on in middle school, high school, or whatever it is. And I'm watching it and I've reflected on some stuff and I've had conversations with some people. Look, I had a conversation with an indirect conversation, but it was still a conversation because I actually know the person. It's an NBA scout for an NBA team. And I actually know him and I need to reach out to him because I need to work on some stuff, right? And the conversation was about a couple of kids, what was starting stuff. So I can have conversations with almost anybody. If I apply myself, I wanted to, but I've never tried to get stuff from people and not give it back, or use people just for access and not give it back, right? So like, let's say I'm not gonna like name drop, oh yeah, it's this person, I know him and this and that. And then if there's something that I could do to help that person, not that that person needs any help, not try to help that person out. I've given free access to a lot of people. I've had people call me and ask me about colleges and stuff. And I help just because people say it's, because you're good natured and that's what you do. In real life, that's just kind of how I do it. I'd rather help people. But now I'm starting to feel different, y'all. I'm starting to look at like, well, why should I help these people that are just coming to me just because they know I'll help? But they realistically don't give a damn about me or what we do. They don't give you credit. I don't need to be lambasted. I don't, you don't have to say, oh, hey, well, I want to thank this person for doing this. I'm kind of on the fence about it, because sometimes I think you should really put out there, if somebody went over and beyond to try to help you, you probably should tell that person thank you. If you're going to thank all these other people, you probably should tell that person thank you, especially if that person was the reason why all of these things happen. Now, other people were along the way. Yeah, they're along the way. But you have to be grateful and help people. You have to help them. I mean, you have to acknowledge it. If it's part of life, you don't have to be all lovey-dovey. But hey, if I put you in touch with a coach that was looking for a player, and that coach signed you, and then you get on social media, I'm not saying this particular thing in this instance happened. Some of the stuff has happened, but what I'm speaking now is just an example. And that college coach signs you, and then you get on and you thank everybody else and not the person who actually put you in touch. That's a problem. That's a problem. And that's something that, it's one of those things where, and I'm sure you guys have, listening have probably went, you don't think about stuff, but then something happens and it kind of makes you, wrinkle your face, your eyebrow raises, and you kind of look at that situation a little differently, or that person a little differently. And then you start to go back in time and you start thinking about all of the situations and instances, and you're saying to yourself, stuff starts to connect, and you start to say, damn, like, this person don't give a shit about me, or whatever. This person just uses me in this and that and that. And I'm like, okay, you can ask now, but for the most part, there's going to be a charge. I won't be just giving free access. I'm going to work on it, because for right now, I'm probably still going to do it, but I have to learn to discipline myself to not just, it's not that I don't want to help people, but it's like, if you go to a scouting service, most of those scouting services are going to help you a little bit. But if you want all of the stuff, you got to pay for it. If you come to me for training, I'm going to help you out a little bit. But if you want to know all the stuff, you need to pay for the training. I'm not saying you got to pay for a year, but you need to pay for that training. If you get what you need out of it, then fine, you go on your way. If you need more, then you come back for more. If you need guidance, consulting, help with everything, mental performance and all of these other things that I've just, throughout the years, I've just accumulated so many contacts and knowledge and stuff. And it's just become apparent to me over the past 6 months. How many people I'm tied in with, how much stuff I know, how much I can call somebody if I don't know. And I get a lot of calls and stuff, and I've always been happy to help. But now I'm going to have to not say no. I'm going to say, hey, look, you fill out this form. It's going to be this much. We'll set up an appointment, and you can ask me whatever you want for that. I'm not charging a lot once I do it, once I get it together. But yeah, I've learned that I've started to see it. There are some people here in the city, not just in the city. There are some people that will ask me stuff. They want to pick my brain about things, and I'm glad to help. But when it comes to like, yeah, but why aren't you asking these people that you roll with? Why aren't you talking to this person about it? Why aren't you talking about that organization about it? Right? Why are you tagging me and stuff on your whatever your social media is, but you don't give me an actual invite to come? Hey, I'm tagging you on that. Hey man, I know I tag you on that. Whatever you're doing, why don't you come by if you can and hang out with us? Now, if I can't, then that's fine, but at least you came to me. Now, there are some who, when they tag me, they ask me to participate. And I'm not saying the ones who don't like me. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're just using the brand because, people hear us. I'm not saying we're the largest thing in the city, but people know about our organization. I found that out in the past 2 or 3 weeks, more than even what I continue to think, other things that people think about us. And I'm not saying I'm trying to capitalize on it, but I'm like, man, I'm not trying to use somebody. Like, for instance, Aaron Jones is really big in the city. There's probably not a few people that don't know who he is for what he's brought. He pays the Green Packers. I could have access to him and have him to come in and stuff and try to utilize that, man. But that's not what I'm about. Would I gladly sit down, or if I see him, congratulate him on his success, much love, anything I can do for you, you let me know? Yeah, absolutely. Because it's genuine. But I'm not going to try to use his name or something or call him for something and then so it benefits me without trying to make sure he knows that I'm thankful for it. And that's kind of where I'm going with it. So I've kind of talked on this a little bit longer than I wanted to, but just know that in coming days, weeks, months, that faucet will be turned off. It will still be given to people who are being trained. But if there is somebody that we used to train that we ain't trained in a minute and they're training with other people, and that's fine, ask them for that information. Because some are training with others, but they're coming to me because the others that are training them don't have that knowledge. It's not their fault. Maybe they haven't been training as long. They don't have the connections that I have. I get all that. I didn't have all the connections that I have now, and I'm still growing my network. But where I'm at now, I wasn't here 5 years ago. I know more and stuff like that now, and that's what happens. But you over here getting free stuff from me, but you paying them, and when it comes time, you're putting them up, and they're the ones talking about, yeah, I did this and I did that. Like, nah, you ain't had nothing to do that. And then I have to bite my tongue because I'm sitting up here watching this. Like, wait a minute, hold on. So now I've actually told kids, if you don't tag me, I'm not reposting it. And it's just to say, I'm good with what you do. I will like what you did. But unless you're saying I had something to do with it, and it has to be that. If I had something to do with it, yeah, tag me. If I didn't have nothing to do with it, that's fine. I'll still like it. But I'm just not going to be reposting everything, because if I repost it, somebody else that's big can see it. Some kid might have one look. I repost it. The other colleges and scouts that deal with me, they see it, they like it or repost it. Now that kid's information gets on up the chains. Now some other place looks at them. So that access is free. That access was free. That access will not be free anymore. That faucet is being turned off. I didn't look at it this way. I didn't pay the bill, so the water company came and turned off my water. So there is no faucet. The water bill wants their money. So until I can get paid, I can't pay the water bill. So the water bill that faucet only gets paid. The faucet only gets turned on if somebody come and pay me for the service to turn on that faucet. So it might sound really, I guess it's really no way to put it out there without it sounding bad. But it's really not bad, y'all. It's not that I'm being conceited or forget y'all. I'm just saying, look, if you're dealing with somebody, deal with them. You can't deal with somebody, show up at my doorstep knowing that I'm going to help you out with something and then go back over there. Right? Nah, you can't. Yeah, I can't do that anymore. It's been coming for some time, and I've noticed it throughout the years. And I think it just reached a point to where I'm saying, well, why am I just helping people? I know I'm helping them because I want them to succeed, and I still want them to succeed. I'm not saying I don't, but it's like, why am I just helping people? And then it's like, yo, like, they just came and asked you these questions, but they don't mess with you. And it's cool. If you don't mess with me, you don't mess with me. I'm fine with it, because I've reached a point now where I'm liking and saying, like, not like I didn't used to, but I'm liking everybody's stuff, whether you're a trainer or organization. I'm liking it. Don't bother me. I got too many things going on. I'm at a space to where I don't, and this could sound cocky, I don't feel like anybody can touch what we're doing. I'm secure with what we're doing. And I want to see everybody, win. I'm not worried about you outwinning me. I don't think that's going to happen, but, I'm secure at that. But I can't do it no more, y'all. I can't do it no more. And if you're listening to this and you're wondering, damn, is he talking about me? I'm probably not. But if you worried about it, send me a text. I might say, yeah, man, because what you was doing was bullshit. That was really some shitty stuff. But I can almost guarantee 100% of the people who are listening to this. No, I can't guarantee that. It could be. I would say a large majority of the people that might listen to this doesn't apply to. But if there is somebody that's listening to this that it applies to, I'll explain it so they understand what I'm saying. And I'm saying it now and it might sound away, but if it's you and I put you in the context and I explain it, you'll understand what I'm saying. So it ain't nothing like, oh man, yeah, now forget them and stuff. I'm just saying, yo, you go to the doctor, you got to pay the doctor if they give you the information, right? They might give you some free, but for the most part, you got to pay. I just can't be helping people because I'm starting. I'll put it in a nutshell. I have started to feel in this past year or two, I'm starting to feel like people are taking advantage of me. And I think that's what precipitated this. I've seen it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, these people are taking advantage of me. And now I'm kind of feeling a certain type of way about it. But in any case, I rambled on a lot longer than I wanted to. I got to make sure I get these reservations done for Valentine's Day. So I'm going to leave. Make sure, because I don't want this to be the last Valentine's Day with my wife. I talk too much longer. She might be, she ain't going to be like that, but it'd be funny. She'd be like, you was on the podcast longer. I want a divorce. Wait a minute. Hold on, baby. You can't do that. We about to have Valentine's Day. She wouldn't do that. I'm just playing. But yeah, let me get off this mic and, get to Valentine's Day. I hope y'all have a great Valentine's Day. I hope everything goes well. If it doesn't, keep your head up. If the girl or guy doesn't, choose you to be the Valentine, it's okay. You can get through it. Lord knows I went through my share of people that said no. Back in elementary, I had my little card all made up, even put little candies in there. And they was like, I don't want to be your Valentine. Oh, I was crushed and devastated. But you'll get through it. There are more people out there for you. Just, keep the faith. Keep doing what you're doing. There's somebody out there for everybody. Hell, there's somebody out. If there's somebody out there for me, then I know there's somebody out there for everybody. All right. So I'm going to end it like I always do. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. I'm out.
Street cred sports. Say it with your chest. Yeah. Go get it from the net. Street cred sports. Okay, that's a bet.